Welcome back to Count Me In, IMA's podcast about all things affecting the accounting and finance world. I'm your host, Mitch Rochong, and today's conversation will cover the topic of leadership and how finance leaders accelerate change. In episode 112 of our series, Miguel Molina, CFO at Avocados for Mexico, talks about his career journey and what he has been able to overcome and accomplish through effective leadership and change management. Stay tuned as we listen to his conversation with Adam now.
So, Miguel, can you tell me a bit about your career journey?
Sure, Adam. Well, I'm the son of Carmen and Hector. Carmen, my mother was a visionary woman, and my father was a successful entrepreneur in southern Mexico. I'm a first generation going to college. Actually, my mother was the one who convinced me to go to northern Mexico to pursue a degree. And even she said, look, who knows, maybe you may end up working in the US. So I did my undergrad in accounting in northern Mexico and one of the most prestigious universities in Latin America, which is Monterrey Tech. I graduated with honors in December 1994. 1994, 1995 was a difficult years in Mexico. There was years of economic and political turmoil. Mexican economy style, deficit rose, politics became unstable, and even some politicians were assassinated. And after 75 years, the PRI, which is the main party in Mexico, lost government control to another party after 72 years. But despite all these changes, as a young student, I always wanted to represent Mexico and work for an international company in the US. So I quickly realized that I needed to improve my skills, Adam. I decided to sell my car, go to Canada, spend 3 months to improve my English skills. Vancouver, Canada was a great experience. But also in my last year in college, a teacher of mine, actually, a corporate executive and one of the largest tortilla and cornmeal companies in the world, invited me to join Mission Foods here in the US. And I did. I started as an internal auditor. I had the fortune to travel through the US. I spent a fantastic 18 years careers at Mission Foods. I took a position in Southern California as a sales and distribution accountant. Company gave me a full region, moving from Washington, Oregon, Montana, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. Eventually, our corporate offices were moved to Dallas, Texas, and we relocated in 2003. And they gave me all U.S. responsibility for the sales and distribution accounting. Then in 2009, as all we know, the U.S. experienced a great recession. And also, needed to improve my skills. So I pursued an executive MBA at Southern Methodist University and graduated with honors in 2011. Around 2014, the former VP of marketing for Mission Foods moved to Avocados for Mexico and as its president and CMO. And he invited me to join Avocados for Mexico. I accepted. And now I'm the CFO of one of the most exciting and successful product marketers organizations in the US, Adam.
Well, that's great, and I'm a consumer of avocados from Mexico, so that's very exciting to talk with you today.
Excellent. You'll be surprised that 8 of every 10 avocados consumed in the US come from Mexico. And just as a trivia, you need to know that avocados is a berry. It's from the same family of a berry.
So you have a quite a journey that you've come from, where you grew up in Mexico all the way to where you are today. What leadership characteristics have enabled you to get where you are?
Well, there are a few topics that I can see in my career. I'm borrowing some items from the leadership tools. Begin with the end in mind. I think that is very important. Be resilient and lead by example. And yes, some good old luck, Adam. Let me tell you a quick story about that. When I was in college, a classmate invited me to spend a spring break with him at his house. He's from Querétaro, a state located in central Mexico. And during this family dinner, he talked about his plans. I remember him saying that he wanted to finish university, pursue his master's degree at the University of Michigan, go back to his hometown and became the mayor of his hometown, and then become the governor of his state. I was in awe. So wait a minute, here's a guy my same age, same education level. Both of them were doing very well at school with such plans. Unbelievable. Because until then, my goals was to go back to my hometown and work for my father and my family business. But I have to say that night, my life changed. I dared to dream. I decided to do well at school, learn English, pursue an MBA, and work for an international company. So beginning with the end in mind, I think is important. Be resilient, be consistent, and always lead by example, Adam.
Definitely. And, I'm sure as time has gone on, your job role has changes and expectation changes. We're in the middle of a pandemic still. How have you been able to develop your change management skills and make everyone aware of the necessary changes as you've gone along?
Change is always being consistent. And I follow an author, Yuval Noah Harari. And he wrote one of the bestsellers books, Sapiens. And he's an extraordinary philosopher, historian, and storyteller. Highly recommend to you and your audience to look for him, Yuval Noah Harari. So he makes an interesting analogy. He says, hey, listen, in the past, we were thought to have a strong and deep foundations. It was very important, right? So like a house, if a hurricane or a strong wind passes, that foundation will keep you grounded. Well, today, he says, the analogy is different. We need to have a mentality of a tent. Yes, like a camping tent, and be ready for significant changes and strong winds. So when that happens, now what we need to do is to pick up our tent and move to another place. So Mr. Harari talks about the most successful skills in the future will be the capacity to adapt, capacity to change, right? And including the psychology of change, because in a lifetime, we need to reinvent ourselves many times. I'm sure you, Adam, me, and others in your audience have been either forced or to reinvent ourselves, right? So during my career, I've been very fortunate to work with great leaders, Adam, and they gave me the freedom and confidence to make changes. So over the years, I have reinvented my position many times. I expanded my responsibilities to other areas, including technology and continued process improvement. I'm obsessed with improving processes and finding efficiencies. Now, changes come with risk and have some battle scars for sure, right? However, if you're prepared your business case and take a small risk to test your ideas, you gain confidence and the company where you're working with also begin building that trust in you, Adam.
Definitely, trust is a huge factor in any type of change management. Is that what you use to kind of get buy-in from your stakeholders in your organization as you made those changes?
Yes, Adam. Listen, I would like to talk about a time where I failed, and I failed badly. I was working for my previous company. I convinced senior management that we needed to invest in a trade promotion application. I created a vision, calculated the potential savings for the company. Senior management authorized the investment, and I failed. And I failed because I used the word I all the time. And I thought that working hard was enough. But it's imperative, it is critical to include all the stakeholders, not only senior management, by the way. I had to move from the word I to the term we, because as the saying goes, there is no I in the word team, right? So in any new initiative, it's critical to get buy-in, not only from a good way to test your ideas and how viable those ideas are, but also to make it a reality. So I have 4 main observations that I would recommend on my experience. First, we need to begin with your team and your immediate circle of influence. So that includes people reporting to you, your supervisors, but also be mindful of those indirect hierarchies in the organization. There's always some key stakeholders that they may not have the title, but they have a big influence. Number 2 is that it's all about the why. So I follow Simon Sinek. He's a best-selling author, and he talks about people contribute the best when they believe in the why and why they do that. Of course, we are the finance team, right? So we need to find strength in the numbers. We are finance. Our job is to allocate capital to support the company goals and prepare a robust business case. That is a must. You have to have a robust business case and involve others, Adam. Share ownership and recognition. Bottom line, if your co-workers are more likely to succeed in a project and do better is if they feel ownership in whatever they do.
I wanted to just circle back. When I asked you, how do you get buy-in from your organization? You mentioned that the first thing you mentioned is like, let me tell you about a time I failed. And I want to just ask like a follow-up if you're okay with that. It seems like many times people want to focus on everything they did well, and they never mention the failures. How have failures helped you get where you are today?
Listen, Adam, when you take risks, you will fail. But failure is not really the problem. Is not learning for failure, right? And I think that taking that learning is that brings value to the organization and your practice. And we need to take that seriously. And also create an environment with your team where failure, it is acceptable. Now, if you don't want to fail, it's likely that you don't want to move. You stay and do whatever you're doing all the time, and then everything will be okay. But like I mentioned, reinventing our positions every time comes with some failure. So learning from it, it is really what the value is about. Now, you need to be creative by not taking massive failures, but also taking calculated risks where you prove and prove your ideas. And once you feel more comfortable, you move to the next step. And that is important because changing our mentality as a number of people who were used to have everything calculated to move, now is not quite like that. And a digital experience, you need to be flexible, test, and then be flexible and test again, and then move. So I think that flexibility in failure is important, Adam.
So how do you envision the role of a finance leader growing even more in the future? Not necessarily the changing of what you do day to day or the building of sustainable culture, but from a leadership perspective, how do you see your position being even more valuable?
I truly believe that the CFO is the new CIO, Adam. Our finance team is moving from achieving operational excellence, which is a lot of what we do, right, to a new emerging role, and that is to support the modern workplace. Be at the center of the process towards a customer digital experience and really for us to be in a competitive advantage. And I would like to quote the Microsoft CFO, Amy Hood, on one of his conferences. She's saying, quoting, by adopting innovative technologies, finance will strengthen the business leadership through compliance, accuracy, and efficiency, closing quote. So really, I generally believe that the CFO is the best position in organization to work with other leaders, Adam, and take advantage of this digital revolution. The finance team understands operation. We understand operation. All the possible efficiencies in the organization. Again, where we can allocate capital to sustain growth and really identify those key metrics to improve performance. But at the same time, Adam, our skill sets need to change. And we need to have a much deeper understanding of analytics, to have a strategic thinking, work with our president on the strategy. And we need to learn to influence and negotiate, right? To advance our business and also to understand our customer, not only in our numbers, but also our customer, to have that strong customer knowledge. Let me give an example. Here at AFM, Avocados for Mexico, we recently embarked on an initiative to implement a business intelligence application. And we believe that everything begins with a digital transformation, really begins with a good, solid, reliable data. We have to have good data. So we move all applications on the cloud, and we move our accounting system to now an SAP by design, which is a cloud solution as our core accounting system. We connected that data to SAP Concur. We also implemented an adaptive insights budget planning tool and to start synchronizing data, as well as DocuSign as a contract management lifecycle solution. After we achieved now that core data, we felt that we were ready to start connecting data points. Now we have this structure, and we've started to work for analytics solution. We look at multiple technologies, including SAP, Microsoft, Tableau, and we decided to move with Microsoft Power BI to start connecting data sources. That is our next frontier, Adam, data and analytics, to take really our company, our organizations to the next level, and of course, contribute to our competitive advantage in the marketplace, Adam.
This has been Count Me In, IMA's podcast, providing you with the latest perspectives of thought leaders from the accounting and finance profession. If you like what you heard and you'd like to be counted in for more relevant accounting and finance education, visit IMA's website at www.imanet.org.